Hi, we're looking at some GCSE exam questions on the subject of graphs. So here's a recent exam question. The graph of y equals 4 minus x for values of x from -2 to 5 is shown on the grid. So here's the line, y equals 4 minus x, and it goes from values of -2 to 5 on the grid. On the same grid, draw the graph of y equals 2x minus 5 for the same range of values. So here we go, y equals 2x minus 5. This follows a typical format of a straight line graph. You'll be familiar, the examiners will assume you're familiar with the format y equals mx plus c, where m is the gradient and c is the y-intercept. So we know it's going to cross there actually, but let's find out by drawing a little chart. X and y. So we're putting values in there. Let's start with -2. So if x is -2, 2 times -2 is -4, then -5, so we've got -9. Let's do x is a 0. 2 zeros are 0, so y would be -5. And let's put 5, because they've said 5, so 2 5s are 10. -5 is 5. So when x is 5, y is also 5. Let's put those points on. So -2 minus 9 is there. 0 minus 5 is there. And 5 is there. Notice how the x-axis is measured 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the y-axis is going up in 2s, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So you've got to be very careful to find the right spot. But there it is. Now we join the coordinates, so from 5 down to -2, the x's, so there's the line for this graph from the x value of -2 to the x value of 5. The second part of the question says, use your graph to solve this little equation here. Now we could solve it purely by algebra, but it's saying, use your graph to solve it. So actually what we're saying is that that value is worth exactly the same as that value. So where does that happen? Only there. And that is when x is 3. They're only asking for the x value. X is 3 when that one and that one cross. Here's another actual GCSE question. It says P and Q are points on this line. Again, this line is not written in the form y equals mx plus c, but actually we don't need it to be. There's the line. P and Q are points on that line. It says complete the coordinates of P and Q, and they've given those down here. P then has an x coordinate of 0. So let's put x is 0 into the equation. 3 times 0 plus 2y equals 6. Well, obviously 3 times 0 is 0, so 2y is 6. So y must be 3. So we can put that in there. And Q has a y value. The y coordinate is 0. So 3x plus 2 times 0 equals 6. That means 3x must be 6, which means that x must be 2. So the x coordinate is 2. Now the second part of that same question uses obviously the same line, and it wants us to draw the line. Now we only need 2 coordinates to be able to draw the line. We've already got those. We found that P was 0, 3, and that Q was 2, 0. So let's plot those. When x is 0, y is 3. And when x was 2, y is 0. So there they are. And we have to plot that from x is -3 to x is 3. X is -3 is there. X is 3 is there. So we have drawn the line passing through the 2 points that we found in the first part of the question. And here's another GCSE question. This one is really interesting because it's all about graphs, but we can't see a graph and we're not allowed to draw one because it says, show that the lines y equals 3x plus 7 and 2y minus 6x equals 8 are parallel. So those are 2 straight lines, and we've got to show that they're parallel. But we must not use a graphical method, so we can't draw a graph. Now, if they're parallel, they're going to have the same gradient. And we can look at that one, which follows the familiar pattern y equals mx plus c. And examiners are assuming you're going to know that the c represents the crossing point of the y-axis or the y-intercept, and that the m represents the gradient. So on that one, we know the gradient is 3. So let's focus on this one. We've got 2y minus 6x equals 8. So we're going to add 6x to both sides. So in fact, now we've got 2y equals 8 plus 6x. But I'm going to swap these round so that I've got the x part first. And now I'm going to divide everything by 2 on both sides. So 2y divided by 2 is obviously y. 6x divided by 2 is 3x. Plus 8 divided by 2 is 4. And you can see that we now have a gradient of 3, just like that one. So we can write the gradients of both lines, or the gradient of both lines is 3, so they must be parallel. So that's the first part of the question. And now let's look at the second part. Is the point minus 5 minus 6 above, below, or on the line y equals 3x plus 7? So we're looking at that line again. You must show you're working, and again, we can't draw a graph. What we can do is think about that line, and if we look at the coordinates we've been given, let's just focus on the x coordinate. So if it's sitting on that line with an x coordinate of minus 5, the y coordinate, if it's on the line, the y coordinate would have to be minus 6. Let's try x is minus 5 in that equation. So y equals 3 times minus 5 plus 7. 3 times minus 5 is minus 15, so we've got minus 15 plus 7, which is minus 8. And so we know that the point minus 5 minus 8 lies on the line y equals 3x plus 7. We know that because we put the value of minus 5 in as the x coordinate, and we found a y coordinate of minus 8. So the point minus 5 minus 8 lies on the line y equals 3x plus 7. But what about the point we've been given? Well, the y coordinate of that is minus 6. And if you consider that on the line is the point where y is minus 8, minus 6 is higher up. The y direction goes up that way, and so we can say that the point minus 5 minus 6 is above the line. So therefore, the point minus 5 minus 6 lies above the line. Thank you for watching.